Story 1. Making friends. How does it happen? When is it okay to call someone a friend? What are the parameters of friendship? Why shouldn't I have expectations? Something always happens that strains the relationship. Sometimes it's my fault, sometimes it's not. I feel like I have an energy that deters people, making it seem impossible to make new friends. Can be very frustrating. Story 2. Sports, particularly American football, are a subject of great interest. Many people can discuss the statistics and history of individual players for hours. Story 3. Guest culture. If you want me to be there, invite me. If you want something from me, say it. If I hurt your feelings, then tell me. I don't read minds and I won't take the bait. Be an adult and start a conversation. Story 4. Remembering birthdays and anniversaries seems to come naturally to others, but I always need reminders. Story 5. Small talk at parties seems to come naturally to everyone else, but I always find it awkward and challenging. Story 6. Golf is often considered the default leisure activity for affluent individuals. While it can be enjoyable in some contexts, it may not be as entertaining as it is commonly perceived in our culture. Story 7. Office politics can be frustrating. I just want to focus on my work and get paid. I don't want to feel like a character in a low-budget soap opera. Story 8. I enjoy my coworkers. We make a great team, and I genuinely appreciate them. However, I prefer not to spend my free time with them. Recently, they were discussing a work retreat, stating it is important for us to spend time together outside of work to get to know each other better. Is that really necessary? Why is it not sufficient that we perform our jobs well? We already have a good working relationship, so there's no need to enhance it further. Just let me go home. Story 9. Today I heard about people in my field receiving job offers. I have never been offered a job in my life. I always had to search for vacancies myself. I suppose I am not very good at networking. Story 10. I know I'm just aging myself, but this new rap and hip-hop is completely over my head. The rap artists I grew up with had rhythm and flow, but the new music seems to have abandoned that. The rappers are just speaking in autotune, almost as though they don't even hear the highly produced beat being played. Story 11. Guessing what people want based on social cues because few are capable of handling direct communication anymore. Story 12. Maths. I was treated as if I were stupid at school for not understanding times tables. They used simple methods with me for everything, but I just didn't grasp it at all. I failed my general certificate of secondary education and had to retake a year because I couldn't do maths. I still can't do it. Story 13. The fact that small talk feels insincere, yet everyone is expected to engage in it, is perplexing. It seems strange to ask, "How are you?" and then expect the other person to respond with "good." We are also supposed to reply with "good" or something similar. Many small talk conversations follow this pattern, and I don't understand the purpose of having them if we are just talking without exchanging meaningful information or ideas. I apologize for any confusion in my previous message. What I really mean is not that I don't understand the value of small talk or that I think it is unimportant, because neither of those statements is true. Instead, I don't understand why we often feel the need to provide insincere responses to standard questions. I'm genuinely happy to discuss the weather, weekend plans, sports teams, or other topics. However, if you ask me how I'm feeling and expect me to stick to a script rather than answer honestly, it confuses me. I wouldn't have to do the same if someone were to ask about my favorite color or my feelings about music. This may just be a reflection of my perspective. Story 14. The appeal of making your entire life a media feed. Taking thousands of pictures at every moment, it is unpleasant. Story 15. When some people do not confront their cheating partner, but instead blame the person their partner cheated with. Story 16. Handshakes used to have just one style, but now it can get quite confusing. It's important to approach them confidently and with ease. Story 17. Why height is so important in dating for women. I am a woman, and I have dated someone shorter than myself. It is not the height that is important. Story 18. Tattoos. I can't stand looking at a shirt after wearing it for a couple of years. I can't imagine a tattoo for the rest of my life. Story 19. The lives of celebrities. I have no interest in who is having a baby, who broke up with whom, or what celebrities are doing in their daily lives. Paparazzi are undesirable individuals, and I do not understand why their actions are even legal. Story 20. The importance of the Olympics and the significant expenditure associated with it raises concerns, especially when people are living in poverty and children are suffering. Story 21. Makeup. I missed the opportunity because my mom never wore it, and now I don't wear it, so it seems pointless. Story 22. Healthy relationships aren't transactional. Everything involves a form of exchange, even if it isn't immediately obvious. It perplexes me when people claim otherwise, yet no one genuinely desires friendships with individuals who contribute nothing positive to their lives. Do you find it difficult to enjoy time with someone who depletes your energy and does not provide joy, happiness, love, security, or positivity? This imbalance occurs because one party is taking without giving, resulting in an unequal relationship. Perhaps this indicates something is wrong with me, but I genuinely struggle to comprehend why others view relationships differently. Story 23. Money. I mean specifically the global illusion that is the stock market and finance in general. From what I can see, it's just a completely fabricated game, yet everyone keeps insisting that it is an accurate reflection of value and the economy. It's truly insane. Story 24. Overusing phrases such as, hear me out, and low-key, self-diagnosing your mental health, Marvel films, posting questions on online forums that would be better addressed in a conversation with a professional, whether mental or physical. Edit. I thought of one more: Funko Pop figures. They are unoriginal and a waste of resources. Story 25. Watching hours of sports can lead to an obsession with players, trades, salaries, statistics, and standings across various sports. Story 26. One-night stands. I am too focused on all or nothing with my relationships, and intimacy, emotional and physical, means a lot to me. I also need ample time to feel comfortable and warm up to people. It boggles my mind to develop any of that with a stranger in one night and then never see them again. It's great that other people can do this and get what they need from it, and sometimes I wish I could be more like that. But I am who I am, and one-night stands are just not for me. Story 27. Why don't people leave places when they feel embarrassed, uncomfortable, or threatened? Adults can always go home. Use that power. Story 28. Anxiety. I don't think I've ever felt it. I've had people describe it, and it sounds like an intense nervousness about nothing in particular. I may have felt it once while experiencing a strong effect, but it's hard to say. It sounds like a difficult situation, and while I have sympathy for those who experience it, I am glad I don't have to deal with it. Story 29. Idol and character crushes. I am an avid manga reader and anime watcher, and used to listen to Japanese pop and Korean pop. I did not know anything about the musicians, and I did not care. I just liked their music. Anime and manga are just entertainment to me. They are simply something to do. I have never read about or seen a character that made me think I would want to meet them, live in their world, or know someone real who is like them. I have seen people who post photoshopped pictures of themselves with their favorite characters. I do not understand why others fall in love with people or characters with whom they cannot have any kind of dialogue. I understand the concept of projecting and imagination, and almost everyone I have met has some tale involving a character from a movie, book, comic, anime, or a singer, actor, or idol to whom they have dedicated time dreaming about an imaginary life or what they would do if they met. Literally everyone. And I wonder, why not someone in front of you? They tell me they are attracted to people in front of them too. But they also have this fascination with characters and idols. I ask, why do you have this love for a character or someone you have never met? They often struggle to answer, as almost everyone else seems to understand it. Story 30. Watching all these streamers on Twitch and other platforms, I have too much to do. When I have some free time, I would rather play games than watch someone else do it. Story 31. Dressing for style should not come at the expense of comfort and mobility. If I cannot breathe properly in an outfit, no matter how good it looks, I will not wear it. Story 32. I have tried to figure it out over the years, but I do not understand the appeal or how it even works, to be honest. Story 33. I am 36 years old. I attended a top 50 secondary school, where I excelled in mathematics and achieved straight A's. However, I cannot perform long division. Story 34. One thing I never understood as a child is when kids chase each other. It wasn't like playing tag. Sometimes one child would simply chase another. I never grasped the purpose of it. What would happen when one catches up to the other? It seemed futile to me. Story 35. Sitting around and talking in a group. What are we doing? Do I need to remember this story about your friend's sister's boyfriend? How about the one about the guy you used to hang out with and ran into? And he said, "Why don't we hang out?" And you replied, "I've been busy. When does it end? Can't we just go to bed?" Story 36. The reason that income tax from the areas it originated from isn't mostly reinvested into those areas is that immigration is a blessing and not a burden to the residents already living there. Story 37. Watching streamers can be quite boring most of the time. I can understand how some may find speedrunning or playing games with unique controllers interesting, but often it's just someone quietly playing a game or being annoying while playing at an average level. Why not just play the game yourself? Story 38. Commonwealth States, United States of America. I cannot seem to grasp what it means, even after living in one for over 7 years now. Story 39. Driving has been a challenge for me. I have been taking lessons for 6 months, and it still isn't clicking. Everyone around me often reminds me of this. Story 40. People who try too hard to be hipsters or critics of the arts can be exhausting. Everyone is entitled to their opinion, but acting like a song, movie, or other form of art is bad, simply because they don't like it is frustrating. It becomes even more difficult to engage when their reasoning is flawed. Story 41. Money management has always been a source of stress for me, so I never focused on budgeting or investing. I convinced myself that as long as I have a job and do not overspend, I should be okay. I have worked full-time for about a decade and estimate that I have earned between $550,000 and $600,000. Since the COVID-19 pandemic, I have been laid off 3 times in my field. Despite paying rent and continuing to spend during this time, I currently have only $10 to my name. I was last laid off in January and have not had any luck finding a new job yet. My friends go on 2 to 4 international trips a year and buy themselves large gifts like new cars or laptops, while I'm just getting by. I regret not taking my finances seriously, and I am in a difficult situation right now. Story 42. Agricultural scale. I can grasp the vastness of planetary orbits in our solar system, but I struggle to understand how we can grow enough potatoes to meet daily consumption. Watching daily produced deliveries to just one restaurant, and then imagining that happening every day at every restaurant in my small city, let alone the rest of the world, is difficult to comprehend. And that's just restaurants. Story 43. The book, The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. I can't seem to understand it. I've read it and listened to the audiobook, but it doesn't resonate with me at all. I wish someone could explain why everyone thinks it's so good. I even tried the movie and watched part of it, but overall, I still don't understand the hype. Story 44. Social norms and expectations. I don't understand why I can't tell that woman her hair looks unkempt in a polite way. I don't understand why I have to ignore that man just because he is on the ground with a sign. Why am I expected to be nice to older people when they are rude? Why do I have to dress differently from my house if I am going to the store? Why do I have to dress my son in a traditionally masculine manner, or else everyone thinks he is a girl? Why do I have to converse with strangers when they ask me questions about my son? Why is it considered impolite to ignore someone I don't know? I don't get it, but am I supposed to? Story 45. The only relationships I've been in, I'm married now, started as friendships before we got together. There was no dating phase for me. I get confused by people going on dates with multiple individuals. How does that work? Story 46. Casual sex, one-night stands, pride in high body counts, and hookup culture are beyond my understanding. My highly monogamous demisexual perspective cannot comprehend it. Story 47. I don't understand why people are so obsessed with famous individuals. I understand enjoying the work of those you admire, such as singers and actors. However, I struggle to comprehend anything beyond that. Story 48. Double standards exist, and every time I point one out, people get angry. I then stop talking to them because I don't need that in my life. I only have about 6 people I would consider friends. Story 49. Directions. I can get lost anywhere, and when people discuss routes and road numbers, I genuinely have no idea what they are talking about. It's concerning. Story 50. The phrase "can't win for losing" does not make sense to me, regardless of how many times people try to explain it. Story 51. Letting oneself become obese. People take good care of their homes, cars, lawns, clothes, pets, and children, yet they do not prioritize the health and appearance of their own bodies, the temple of their soul. Story 52. How to unlock an iPhone without a home button. Every time I try to use my wife's phone, I find myself swiping everywhere until it finally shows me the keypad. I have an iPhone SE and will keep it as long as possible. Story 53. Instead of developing your own opinion of a film, series, book, or game, people often rely too heavily on the opinions of reviewers and popular figures. In the past 2 years, I have noticed a resistance against this groupthink, but it still prevails in many aspects of life. I must make a distinction, though, because it is reasonable to avoid a restaurant known for bad reviews or a contractor who has a reputation for not completing jobs. However, when it comes to the arts, subjectivity is important. You can argue that Disney ruined Star Wars or this game is bad because it is politically motivated as much as you like, but if you are merely repeating the same talking points, your opinion may lack credibility because it is not genuinely your own. It belongs to others. Not only have you denied yourself an authentic experience, which is what creative media aims to provide, but you have also prevented yourself from forming a true opinion because you let others dictate your thoughts. Story 54. The ability to approach a random person and talk to them as if they are old friends is intriguing. I find it annoying when people do it to me, so I hesitate to bother others in the same way. However, it seems to work for some individuals. Story 55. I dislike graphs. I am skilled at mathematics in general. I can read and create graphs. However, my mind refuses to let me use graphs for calculations because I believe a graph is the least effective way to present data that I already possess since I created the graph. Before you ask, yes, I am autistic. What I need is a real-world application that requires me to use a graph for calculations. Until I find that, my mind won't allow me to learn why I need to know the names of different types of graphs or the relevance of graphs in mathematical contexts. This has hindered my progress in mathematics because I find it unnecessary. If anyone understands why I would need to use graphs for math beyond failing to advance in math classes, I would appreciate hearing it. Story 56. Parasocial relationships, whether they involve celebrities, influencers, or sports teams, are difficult for me to comprehend. I do not understand why someone would become so invested in a person or group of people whom they do not know personally. Story 57. Monogamy. Personally, I have never had the desire to sleep with anyone but my partner, but I do not understand why I would expect the same from them. My sexual desires are fulfilled. Why should my partner not be able to enjoy an occasional hookup if that is what they are into? Story 58. Friends. How do you know if someone is really your friend? Do they consider you as close as you do? Are they willing to share personal things? Or will it come back to hurt you? Maybe I have been hurt too many times, but how can you really know? Story 59. Hobbies. I don't have anything I enjoy doing outside of work or watching television with my wife and kids. I have a motorcycle that I like riding sometimes. I enjoy installing emergency lighting and making it do interesting things, but that's a very niche activity. So on my weekends, I mostly sit around. Story 60. I recently learned that I am asexual, so sex is not a concern for me. I do not feel proper sexual attraction or any real desire to engage in sex, yet it is such a significant part of modern society. Basically, I will be trying to date under challenging circumstances, as finding a woman who feels similarly will likely not be easy. However, I am only 25, so I have time. Story 61. Breathing with your diaphragm is something I don't understand. I'm unsure how to activate the muscles that facilitate that. As far as I know, there is only one way to breathe, and I don't get it. Story 62. Assembling flat pack furniture can be challenging. When I don't understand the instructions, I stare at the diagrams, but it often ends in disaster. Story 63. Relationships can be challenging. At almost 30, I have never kissed anyone or had a partner, and I lack close friendships. In school, I had a few people I spent time with, but that connection ended after graduation. Now, I find myself without friends or a romantic partner. Story 64. Mathematics is not my strongest skill. I can handle the basics and a few other concepts, but when it comes to the Pythagorean theorem, I'm lost. The same goes for writing long paragraphs. I find it challenging to express my thoughts in writing and often feel inadequate. It's easier for me to verbalize my ideas because I don't always write them the way I intend. Unfortunately, I can't do that during exams. Story 65. Anxiety. I don't think I've ever felt that. I've had people describe it, and it sounds like a really intense nervousness about nothing in particular. I may have felt it once while under the influence, but that's hard to say. It sounds like an awful experience, and while I have sympathy for those who do, I am glad I don't have to deal with it. Story 66. Anxiety. I don't think I've ever felt it. I've heard people describe it, and it sounds like a really intense nervousness about nothing in particular. I may have felt it once while experiencing a strong reaction, but it's hard to say. It sounds like a difficult experience, and while I have sympathy for those who do, I am glad I don't have to deal with it. Story 67. Having parents and siblings care about you is important. My immediate family did not support me and seemed to fake their affection for one another. They were bullies, selfish, and abusive. When I confided in my mother about my depression, she told me to harm myself, and she was serious. When I reached out to my father and mentioned I had a daughter he hadn't met, he expressed indifference. I envy those who have families that truly care for one another. Experiencing love and support among family is something I have never known, and it breaks my heart every time I reflect on it. Story 68. People who try too hard to be hipsters or critics of the arts often express their opinions on songs, movies, and more. While everyone is entitled to their opinion, claiming something is bad simply because they dislike it can be exhausting. It becomes even more frustrating when their reasoning is flawed. Story 69. Hero worship. I respect and admire certain individuals, but they are just individuals. I don't understand the way some people obsess over others, deny valid criticism, and reject objective reality. Story 70. How Twitter works, specifically how to get people to see your posts who are not direct friends with you on the platform. Story 71. Treating artists or politicians like a cult is problematic. You cannot criticize them without facing backlash from their fans, who often respond with threats or personal insults. Story 72. Making and maintaining friend groups, staying calm in most situations, controlling anger, and understanding romantic relationships. Honestly, I just don't grasp romance at all. Story 73. Spatial relation. Right/left, north/south/east/west. I can understand it some of the time, but not consistently. It's definitely not instant recall. It requires some thought. I know it relates to dyscalculia, but it's something I may never grasp like others do. Story 74. Social cues and rules feel like a game everyone is playing, and no one told me the rules. I am perpetually invisible or actively disliked, no matter how nice I try to be. Story 75. Getting upset over things that have nothing to do with you is pointless. In Mexico, we have a saying, even what you don't eat can give you a tummy ache. Story 76. Being a functional adult and everything that entails. Are you telling me you are paying bills on time, properly feeding yourself, working full-time, and maintaining relationships? How is that possible? My neurodivergent self can barely handle doing one of these consistently. Story 77. Make friends in person. Seems easy for everyone, but it doesn't work for me. I have tried, but it hasn't worked. Either the topics don't match or the other person is not interested. Story 78. I know this may be unpopular, but I see evidence of God everywhere. I have always witnessed it since I was alive. Story 79. Working hard as a variable in success just never makes any sense. Everyone says those who work hard will succeed, but in every job I have ever had, I have been rewarded for working smart, avoiding the need to work hard. Every successful person I have ever met agrees that the way to set yourself apart is by being the one who works smart and gets more done with less effort. This requires you to work less hard but think more critically. I suppose this could be called working hard at thinking. I find the entire conversation around working hard to be contradictory and confusing. Yes, I'm neurodivergent. Story 80. I enjoy going out and socializing. I am not a hermit, but I cannot understand why some people see spending a weekend at home as a nightmare. Story 81. Finding my way around new places and taking buses and trains can be challenging. While most people seem to navigate new locations without even looking at a map, I need to explore each new journey step by step on Google Street View before I feel comfortable taking it in real life. Additionally, I struggle to understand bus and train timetables. They appear to be a confusing array of numbers. Story 82. Social drinking. Rarely does alcohol taste nice, and even when it does, it is often quite expensive compared to regular non-alcoholic drinks, which taste even better. Story 83. Social cues and expectations can be confusing. When one person says something foolish, everyone laughs. However, when I make a mistake, people look at me with disdain. How can I navigate this hallway to let you pass? Story 84. For most women my age, it seems completely normal to receive attention and compliments from men regularly. Story 85. Being physically smooth is very difficult for me. My body cannot do anything correctly without careful attention from my mind. There is a line in a Meat Puppet song, famously covered by Nirvana. I do not have to think, I only have to do it. The results are always perfect. I have never experienced that. Story 86. Every meeting I attend seems to have one difficult attendee. Others have mentioned the same experience. I cannot identify who it is. Story 87. Setting boundaries is important. I often misjudge boundaries as controlling behavior and interpret controlling behavior as boundaries, if the comments from most people on such posts are accurate. Story 88. Advanced math. I clearly remember all my classmates saying, "Ah, I get it now," while I was sitting there thinking, what in the world? Story 89. Celebrity crushes. Why do you care so much about a person you will never know and have only seen their public facade? They probably would not care about you if they met you. I don't understand it. Story 90. Guessing sexuality. Others can look at a man and immediately tell if he is gay, but it takes some time. For me, men are men and women are women. I always assume others are heterosexual. Story 91. Some specific things that are considered rude in any situation include asking a woman her age and a man about his job. However, in most contexts, these questions are not deemed offensive. It seems that some of these examples could have been generated by an AI model. Story 92. The need for everyone else to live their life like me. For example, people who say that marriage should only be between a man and a woman. Story 93. Social media. Why would I post to update people I know about my life? I can talk to them in person, or text or call them. Story 94. How do I know when a person is a friend? We talk not often, but a good amount. However, I will probably never build up the courage to ask to play a game with them or hang out. He has better friends he spends more time with, so why would he waste his time with me? Story 95. If I'm being completely honest, office parties or any after-work social gatherings can be draining. In my role, I need to attend or, at the very least, show my face, but it takes a toll on me. Everyone around me seems to love it and feels the need to stay until the end. Story 96. A close friend showed me something on their phone. Instead of giving me the passcode, they entered it without me seeing and handed it back. This is absolutely bizarre. Story 97. How do Cardi B, Megan Thee Stallion, Ice Spice, Saweetie, and other female artists today gain such large followings? If you genuinely enjoy any of their music, I cannot respect your taste. Story 98. Having a group of casual sexual partners that you call whenever you're feeling aroused. The concept baffles me, but it is very common. Story 99. How Bitcoins are made. The blockchain is all I have, and that makes no sense to me either. Story 100. I want to know how to get short stories published, but I am afraid of the writing community judging my work. Story 101. Jazz music, especially free jazz, baffles me. I've tried to understand it, but it remains confusing. Additionally, fantasy basketball is also perplexing. Story 102. Be honest and direct instead of avoiding the truth or being misleading. Story 103. Relationships. How has everyone been in one at some point? How does everyone have experiences except for me? How do some specific people convince others to love them? Story 104. Discord. I just can't seem to figure out how to use it. I'm only 22, but I feel like an old lady every time I try it out because I don't understand the appeal. Story 105. Behavioral and verbal subtext. People think they are being obvious, yet I haven't picked up any clues. Story 106. Why do people ask questions like, what are your plans for the weekend? And what did you do over the weekend? And how is your partner doing? Do people actually care about those things? Why do you want to know what I did? What are you planning to do with that information? Why do you ask about my partner? You've never met them or talked to them. Why would you care? And nice weather we are having today? Yes. Now what? Why do people talk about nothing? I do not understand it. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.